The Banaue Rice Terraces are one of the most photographed places in all of the Philippines. They're often called the eighth wonder of the world, which is a pretty big deal considering they were built over 2,000 years ago and still remain one of the best examples of man's harmony with nature. The rice terraces were added to the UNESCO World Heritage List back in 1995, and since then, it's been my dream to visit. As someone who grew up in the U.S., I didn't really have much exposure to Asian history or culture. So when I came across this photo essay about the Banaue Rice Terraces in National Geographic magazine when I was in high school, I was absolutely captivated by how beautiful the rice paddies were, not to mention intrigued by the mystery of how they were made. Although I had no idea where the Philippines even was at the time, I remember cutting out the article and pinning it to my corkboard as travel inspiration. And now, almost 20 years later, I finally got to see them for myself. I flew into Manila and then took an overnight bus up north to Banaue, which is located in the Ifugao province. The ride was around 7 hours, and I was definitely feeling it by the end, but seeing these rice terraces for the first time was completely worth it. I spent the night in Banaue and then woke up bright and early to catch the sunrise. I couldn't see it because it was cloudy, but that didn't stop me from taking a million pictures of the foggy mountains instead. After getting some rest, we set off on a 2-day trek through the rice terraces. Our guide, who also goes by the name Rambo, led us through a series of hiking trails that took us through the heart of the rice paddies. I was amazed by how well-maintained the terraces were and how vibrant green everything was after the rainy season. I kept expecting to see some sort of advanced irrigation system that fed the paddies, but was surprised to learn that everything was done manually. It takes around 3 months to plant the rice, and farmers will typically do it all by hand using a technique called the dry method. They'll dig ditches along the edges of the rice paddies and then fill them up with water. Then they'll let the water flow into each paddy one by one using gravity to irrigate the fields. Apparently, during the dry season, they have to carry water up from the river using clay pots, which sounds super intense. We hiked all day from village to village, stopping for lunch at one of the houses along the way. Lunch consisted of a hearty serving of Filipino staples, adobo, which is basically chicken and pork stew, and sinangag, which is garlic fried rice. While eating, I learned more about how the rice terraces are made and how they've remained relatively unchanged for thousands of years. Each village has its own rice terraces, and they're passed down from generation to generation. The rice terraces are considered sacred, and the villages are very tight-knit. Most of the families live in the same house and work together to maintain their rice terraces. In the past, they would also use their rice terraces as a defense mechanism against invaders. Each village is nestled in a different valley, which makes it difficult for outsiders to access them. So they were able to hide and grow their crops without being disturbed. Nowadays, however, the villages are open to tourists, although only a select few are actually allowed to visit. This is because the government wants to protect the rice terraces from overcrowding. If you want to visit, you have to get a permit, which costs around $60 per person. This includes a guide and transportation from the main highway to your chosen village. By the time we reached our village, I was exhausted, so we decided to take a dip in the nearby river to cool off. There was this cute little waterfall nearby, and it was definitely a nice change of pace from trekking through the rice paddies all day. After resting, we had dinner at one of the houses. Once again, we ate adobo and sinangag, but this time we also had some sweet spaghetti with hot dogs and hot sauce. It was delicious, although a little bit odd. I'm glad I got to try it, though, because it's not something I would have ordered at a restaurant. After dinner, we went to a nearby field to watch the fireflies. There were so many, and it was definitely a magical sight to see. We walked back to our homestay in the dark with only the light of the moon to guide us. I laid down in my bed, which was basically just a mattress on the floor, and fell asleep listening to the sounds of the jungle. In the morning, we woke up early again to catch the sunrise, and this time the clouds parted and I was able to see it. It wasn't spectacular or anything, but it was nice to witness nonetheless. We then continued on our hike through the rice terraces. The next village over had a suspension bridge that we needed to cross to continue on. I'm not afraid of heights or anything, but I was a little nervous when I saw how rickety it looked. I mean, it swayed every time someone walked on it. But hey, if the locals could use it, so could I. We arrived at our next village and checked into our homestay. Once again, we were staying in a traditional Ifugao house. These houses are built over permanent rice paddies and are elevated to prevent flooding. The walls are made of stone and wood, and the roof is made of a type of grass called pandan. Inside, there are several rooms with bamboo floors and walls. The furniture is simple, consisting mostly of wooden tables and chairs. The family we stayed with was incredibly hospitable. They welcomed us into their home and made us feel like part of the family. They also gave us a tour of their rice terraces, which were unlike any I had seen before. They used a technique called the puddle method, which involves flooding the entire field and planting rice seedlings in the water. This allows the roots of the plants to grow longer and stronger. The downside, however, is that weeds can also grow easily this way. So the farmers have to weed the rice terraces multiple times throughout the year. After visiting their rice terraces, they invited us to join them for lunch. Once again, we ate adobo and sinangag, but this time we also had some pickled vegetables called pinakurat. It was a sour and savory dish that was perfect for dipping rice. It was made by fermenting cabbage, carrots, onions, and green beans in a vinegar salt solution for several weeks. It was a little too sour for my liking, but I appreciated the unique flavor and the effort that went into making it. In the afternoon, we visited another village. On the way, we stopped at a viewpoint to take in the stunning views of the rice terraces. It was hard to believe that these were man-made. They stretched as far as the eye could see and looked like a patchwork quilt. The Banaue Rice Terraces are truly a sight to behold. It's hard to imagine that they were built over 2,000 years ago and still remain one of the best examples of man is harmony with nature. I was amazed by the ingenuity of the Ifugao people and their ability to live in harmony with the environment. The rice terraces are a testament to their hard work and dedication. Our last day in the Philippines, we headed to Sagada, which is known for its stunning views, limestone caves, and hanging coffins. We started off the day by visiting Echo Valley and the Lumiang Burial Cave. We then took a jeepney to the town of Sagada. Along the way, we stopped at a viewpoint to admire the breathtaking views of the rice terraces. When we arrived in Sagada, we checked into our hostel and then headed out to explore the town. We visited a local market and bought some fresh fruits and vegetables. We then took a tricycle to the famous Sagada hanging coffins. These are coffins that are suspended from cliffs and are a common burial practice among the local indigenous people. We also visited Sumaguing Cave, which is known for its impressive stalactite and stalagmite formations. We then took a refreshing dip in the nearby Quiltapan River. Our last stop was the picturesque Quiltapan Hill, which offers stunning views of the surrounding mountains and rice terraces. We watched the sunset from here and said goodbye to the Philippines. All in all, I spent around 10 days exploring the Philippines, and I absolutely loved it. The Banaue Rice Terraces were definitely a highlight, and I can't wait to go back and explore more of this beautiful country. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.